might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Alrighty. It is 9:02 a.m. and it is time for Mornings with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Hewlett. Welcome aboard. Thank you for tuning in this morning. We really appreciate you being along. So, got all kinds of troubles going on today. The internet's not working and the headphones aren't working. All kinds of crazy stuff going on, but we'll do our very best for you today. Did pull up a lot of stuff before the internet stopped working, so hopefully I have some things to talk about. Okay, so first off here, just want to talk about, check the traffic and weather. Traffic looks like it is smooth sailing just right here in our little area, going down to Salt Lake, going to Provo. Everything should be fine there. One thing of note is there was, I don't know if you've heard about this, but it is just absolutely horrible. Apparently, in the early morning hours today, a driver out near Wendover called into the police and said there's an animal in the middle of the road that's been hit. It's a hazard. It needs to be moved. And so police went out to respond. A UHP trooper went out to check it out. And when they got there, they discovered that it was a human being that had been hit. And then much like a deer that we see here on a pretty regular basis, at some point they really know very little at this point, but it had been hit over and over and over again. They can't even tell if it's a male or a female. Horrible. Anyway, the point is, westbound I-80 out near Wendover is shut down completely. They're rerouting everything through the city of Wendover. Just absolutely horrible. It pays to pay attention to what's going on around you and what's on the road, and every now and then you'll hear of a story of somebody, finding a baby that's crawling down the side of a road or something like that. We really have to be aware of what's going on around us and pay attention to those things. Those things aren't common, obviously, but it's certainly something that we need to be aware of, that the streets are dangerous, and we all need to slow down a little bit. I just personally, I can't believe how fast people drive now. Ever since I got my license, I always felt pretty comfortable, within those first 5 miles an hour over a speed limit. It's just sort of the status quo. It just was what everybody did, and not to implicate myself here, but I typically go a few miles, just a few miles over the speed limit. I can't believe when I drive to Salt Lake anymore, if I'm going 69, 70 miles an hour, everybody else is going at least 5, if not 10 or 15 miles an hour faster than me. I mean, it is unbelievable how fast people drive anymore. And often what I get is I'll be driving in the middle lane and I'll come up on a vehicle that is going relatively slow. So I'll get into the fast lane to get around them. And in the process of trying to pass them, almost without fail, someone comes up going 75 or 80 miles an hour, and they want me to get out of their way. Well, I'm trying to pass another vehicle. I'm not going to go 80 miles an hour to get past them. So I'm in the fast lane. I'm trying to pass the vehicle in the middle lane. And so the person going 80 miles an hour will cross over into the very slowest lane to get around us, or they'll ride my bumper within a couple of feet until I get past the vehicle, and then rather than waiting for me to safely change lanes back into the middle of the lane, they'll race in there behind me so they can get around me on the right side. I mean, slow down. It is unbelievable how dangerous people drive now. Obviously, we all have places to be, and we're all in a hurry, and I can take that same advice myself. I don't need to go so fast everywhere I go, but my goodness, I mean, it's just so dangerous, and so hopefully we're all out there paying attention to the traffic laws and everything. That brings us to one of our first topics today. By the way, today we are going to have a couple of guests. We will be joined here in just a few minutes by Ms. Pam Patrick, and she's going to be talking to us about a Wounded Warrior Project deal that she's doing. And we'll be talking a little bit about the issues with the VA and things like that. And then we'll also be having City Councilman Rowland on, and he'll be talking to us about some City Council issues and also the Unplugged program that he came up with and that he runs here in the Valley. Very successful business venture that he has taken on and has really helped a lot of our youth get out and explore our area, explore our county, and maybe a lot of children that otherwise would not have gotten out and done a lot of those things, especially with their parents or whatever, have the opportunity to do that with the incentive of picking up these tags and things. So anyway, so it should be an interesting show today. Should have some fun. Let's see. We'll talk about, okay, weather-wise, we've got some interesting weather coming for us today. We have a 40% chance of snow, or a rain-snow mix. If you're up in the bench areas, you may be looking at snow. Maybe if you're down here in the very bottom of the valley, you may only be looking at rain. But high of 51. It's not going to get too warm today, and we may end up with a little bit of snow. You know, as the saying goes, April showers bring May snowstorms in Utah. Let's see. Tuesday, sunny and 62. It's going to start getting a lot warmer really fast through the week. Wednesday, high of 66. Thursday, high of 71. And by Friday, we'll be all the way up to 78 degrees. And I guarantee 78 degrees is going to feel like 100 when we hit that, because we've been so used to being cold that it's going to take a little bit for our bodies to kind of get accustomed to the warmer temperatures. And I know I just, these early spring times when it gets up to 78 degrees, it just feels like it's just so hot. Just so uncomfortable. And, you know, of course, in the middle of July, we'll be hoping and praying for 78 degrees because that'll be so comfortable. It's funny how our bodies adjust like that. Okay, so let's see here. So we're talking about driving, talking about traffic. People are dangerous. I don't know that, obviously, so many of the technological advancements that we've made, a lot of the laws that we've passed, have made driving significantly safer than it used to be in the 50s. Well, I mean, since the advent of the car up until, 20 years ago. I mean the seat belts, the airbags, the way cars are designed to handle the impact of vehicle collisions, and it's incredible what they've been able to accomplish. We have so much safer signaling and safer rules and safer streets and traffic signs and everything else. Well, the thing that we have taken on to combat the safety of our driving are cell phones. They are at our side constantly. We always want them with us. We have a hard time not having them with us. It's they distract us like crazy. We've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, text messages, emails, phone calls, and a million other things that our phone can do, of course. We have the internet at our fingertips. Every time we have a question about something, we can just pull that up and find out what we're looking for. GPS navigation, all these different things that are pulling our attention away from outside, away from the poor person who's trying to cross the road, away from the person who is trying to merge into our lane, away from the person that's trying to cross the road in front of us in a car, and it pulls our attention inside the car. Now, I would prefer, personally, that we all just made the decision to not be distracted by anything. We get distracted by other people in our car. We get distracted by sometimes food or makeup or music or whatever. There's a million things that we get distracted by. I would prefer that we just make the decision personally, individually, to not be distracted. Our lawmakers feel like we are not doing that, and they're probably right. And I don't know if this is the right solution or not, but hopefully we all know by now that a new law has been passed, and the law says that we no longer are allowed to pick up our phones and manipulate them if for almost any reason at all. Based on the new law, we cannot dial. We cannot do any kind of searching of any kind. We can't type anything. We can't search anything. We can't really do much of anything. Now, it's my understanding, let's see, it'll be unlawful to send, write, or read text messages, instant messages, or email. Dial a phone number. Now, previously, the law was you can't text. You can't send a text message. You can't read a text message. And it was very finite. It was just that one little thing that they had outlawed. This is much broader and much more sweeping. You cannot dial a phone number. You cannot access the internet, view or record a video, and type in data on a smartphone or other mobile device. What's that doing? That's pretty broad. That's pretty sweeping. That's a lot of stuff we can't do that we constantly are doing, I'm sure. Now, we had a horrible example of this, I believe it was just last week, and it just was so tragic. A young girl was listening to a song on the radio. It made her happy, and she decided to send a message out to her followers about how happy that made her. She sent the message at whatever time it was, 3:20, and at 3:21, a 911 call came in saying that there had been a tragic accident and that girl perished in that accident. It says here in the story that distracted driving accounted for 19 fatalities in 2012, with cell phone usage the #1 cause for distraction. In 2013, 17 fatalities were recorded in Utah, with 8 due to cell phone usage and texting. So, obviously it's a problem. Obviously it's horribly dangerous. The few things that we can do now: you can talk on the phone, although I'm not quite sure how you get to the point of talking on the phone. And that's a little bit up for question. We're not really sure exactly. I mean, are we allowed to push a button on our phone to answer a call? I'm not sure. And we're going to have to get the Heber City Police or Wasatch County Sheriff or somebody in here to talk about that a little bit more when we have some more time. But you are allowed to view GPS or navigation coordinates. You are allowed to use voice commands for your phone. We are allowed to use our phone during a medical emergency and when reporting a safety hazard or criminal activity. So if you see someone breaking into a house while you're driving, feel free to pull that phone out and call somebody and let them know that that's what's going on. Don't say, well, I don't want to break the law by pulling my phone out. Anyway, so be aware. I believe that the law has gone into effect. This story doesn't tell me exactly. Oh, let's see. On Tuesday, it will remain lawful. Okay, so on Tuesday, I think. So tomorrow, I guess, is when the law goes into effect. So don't do it today either. But by tomorrow, it will be a criminal offense punishable by the law. And so put those cell phones away while you're driving. Enjoy the beauty that's around you. Watch out for other distracted drivers, other careless drivers, people who are going 80 miles an hour, and be safe out there. All right, so we have Miss Pam Patrick with us here.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. All right, so tell us what's going on. You are trying to help out the Wounded Warrior Project. Help us understand a little bit more what the Wounded Warrior Project does.
Well, actually, it's the Wounded Warrior program.
Okay.
At the national, the Wounded Warrior it's confusing. The Wounded Warrior Project is a national program.
Okay.
And we have the Wasatch County Wounded Warrior program where we are trying to collect money, and then we will be giving that to the National Ability Center.
Okay.
And they have a Wounded Warrior program, but they do work with the National Wounded Warrior Project along with other national programs throughout the country for our veterans and our all of our military, because you can be a Vietnam vet, and if you're still having the PTSD, if you get in contact with the VA or your doctor and they know that you need help, you can go to the National Ability Center, and they've got lots of programs that help our soldiers.
That's great. That's great. So it's a little bit separate, but you're doing the same thing though. You're trying to accomplish the same purpose.
Correct. Just helping all of our military who are struggling with whether it's physical or mental disabilities, to try and help them, to give them the service. Because as we found out in Phoenix, Arizona, there were 40 veterans with the VA that died waiting for services for the VA. And this is just another avenue when the VA doesn't step up and help the veterans, that we've got this other place that can help. Now, the VA does do medical, and the National Ability Center it's not medical. It's just trying to get, like, they've got ski programs to help soldiers who may have lost some limbs, that to help them know that, you know what, life can go on and you can do a lot of things. They've got a lot of different programs that they bring in groups of people, groups of soldiers, and help out. And I'm just asking everyone in the valley to give $1, and you can currently go to Zion's Bank here in Heber or the rec center and give $1 and help our soldiers.
It's just so essentially what's happening with the VA, the Veterans Affairs hospitals, from what I've read and what I've heard and listened to, and you can help me explain this, but what's happening is our veterans, the men and women who fought for this country and made extreme sacrifices mentally and physically, are trying to see doctors. They're trying to get checked. They're trying to get help. They're trying to get medical help. I mean, it's the least we can do, right?
Well, you know what? We wouldn't be here if it weren't for them.
Right.
They've given us the freedoms. They have given us the freedom for us to have a 3-day weekend of Memorial Day that we have forgotten the true meaning of Memorial Day. We think it's a 3-day weekend, the beginning of summer. And that's a whole other subject. But we would not be able to, go on vacation and do all of the things that we're able to do if it were not for our soldiers going way back.
Right.
And I don't think it's a whole lot to ask of people to, give at least $1 to say, hey, thank you so much for giving us our freedoms.
Right. And so essentially what's happening is they're going to try to see doctors, and they're trying to go to the hospital, and they're being
putting
told
on a wait list
to wait. And not just wait a day, not just wait a week, not just wait a month. They're being told to wait months on end. Soldiers are coming in, or our veterans are coming in with chest pains and being told to wait for 3 or 4 months. And, of course, in the meantime, they die of a heart attack. I mean,
right.
That's inexcusable, right?
That's right. Well, and you know what? It's funny. They've had this problem in the past, and I thought that they were trying to straighten out the VA. And this just isn't in Phoenix. It's coming across the country, and unfortunately, our federal government is taking away funds to help those people that they send overseas for us, and then they come back with lots of problems, and then they don't want to support them. And I just find it a sin that so if people can help, that would be great.
So we have a couple of things we can do. We can out of our respect and our appreciation for what these good young men and women have done for us, and now of course they're a lot of these veterans are quite a bit older and they're facing a lot of medical issues. We can help them out of our own pockets, and we can also encourage our lawmakers to change the way they treat them.
Correct. That would be, I just think that we, especially in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, these guys got drafted. They didn't volunteer.
Sign up on purpose. Yeah, they didn't sign up because they wanted to.
And then they came back, and especially in the Vietnam War, they came back, and a lot of them had a lot of problems, and the government, and unfortunately, a lot of the public just blew them off.
Right.
And
because
a lot of them are
people
still
didn't support the war that was going on. They didn't have anything to do with our
men and women. Yeah. If they were going to get mad, they should have gotten mad at the politicians, not at our soldiers.
Right.
And we can make that up, and part of that is going to the Memorial Day program, where hopefully there will be a lot of veterans and people can thank them for their service. And
that's great.
A lot of those soldiers have never been thanked before.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question. Okay, Pam, one more time. Tell us where we can go, what we can do to help with your fundraiser here.
Well, I had a couple other things.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
where people were going to be able to go and donate, and I don't know, for some reason or other it's not working out, and hopefully we'll be able to get it up and going. But right now, you can go to the rec center or to the Zion's Bank here in Heber, and just tell them that you want to give your money to the Wounded Warrior Program, Wasatch County Wounded Warrior Program.
That's great.
And also I encourage everyone to attend the Memorial Day program, which is going to be on Monday, May 26th. And it will be at 8 a.m. There is a free pancake breakfast at 7 a.m.
Okay.
And we'll have 2 main speakers. And the first one is a World War II veteran, Calvin Giles. And the second one is a retired Vice Admiral, Richard Gallagher.
That's great.
And I think that there's a few surprises in there. I think everybody will go, will be pleasantly surprised, and hopefully will take in the spirit of what Memorial Day is supposed to be about.
That's great. Thank you so much. Please get out there, go to the breakfast, see the program. I think a lot of us have a hard time remembering sometimes that we associate every day with people who sacrificed a lot in battle to protect us. And there are people, your next door neighbor could very well be a veteran of a war, and it's the ultimate sacrifice for those people. Even if they didn't perish, it's the mental toll that it takes.
Well, and the one thing that I want everybody to go away with and remember is when these guys, especially the ones on the ground, they have seen horrific things.
Right.
And those they have to live with that all of their lives.
Right.
And, we say, well, buck up and, go on. But it's a lot harder when you've seen and your best friend get killed, and however that may be. And so it's just nice for people to say thank you.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being on with us, Pam. And
Thank
we'll
you.
Hopefully have you back here in a little while and talk about more stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so go out and give $1. I mean, it's incredible what you can accomplish when everybody gives $1, and it's such a worthy cause. So yeah, the VA, the Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki, he is in a lot of hot water. He is, they have really, really dropped the ball. And for me personally, I feel like this is an issue where, as with everything that is being controlled by the federal government at this point, for me, I don't believe the problem is ineptitude or incompetence. I believe the problem is it's too big to handle. And you see it with corporations. We all talk about things that are too big to fail, and in my opinion, things get to a certain point where they're too big that they have to fail. The federal government handles trillions of dollars. They have so many different things that they're trying to oversee, so many different things that they're trying to run and manage and control, and it's just too much. And so things like this slip through the cracks every day because it's too big. I mean, we all love to blame the president. It's one guy. There's 24 hours in a day. He doesn't know a fraction of all those things that go on because he's just one person. And he relies on all the people underneath him to handle those things. And it doesn't matter if it's this current president or the next president or the previous president. They all deal with the same problems. It's too big. There's too much to handle. There's too much to pay attention to. So they rely on people underneath them. But even the people underneath them, it's just one person. It's just too much to manage. And then, of course, you deal with the problem of dealing with other people's money, and it's a lot easier to blow off problems with other people's money than it is to blow off your problems with your own money. And it's really horrible, and they've really got to hopefully make some major changes there, because our veterans deserve better than that. All right, I want to welcome Eric Rowland to the stage here. Let's see, why don't I have you move over a little bit there? The microphone just to the side of you works better than all the others. Yeah, make sure it's on. My I really hope everyone is able to hear Pam. It's my headphones are unplugged and I don't know where to plug them in. So I don't really hear what's going on. So microphone 14 typically works pretty well. So we're gonna turn that on here. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Welcome to you.
Really appreciate you being here. Yeah, thank you. It's exciting, I've had a few shows under my belt now, and I'm enjoying it. It's hopefully my shows are getting more interesting, a little bit better managed. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about, and then there's things that I should talk about, and sometimes I have a little bit of a hard time. It's fine. It picks you up pretty well, so yeah, you're good. So anyway, I have a hard time sometimes putting aside the things I want to talk about and talking about the things I should talk about. but I'm really enjoying it. So, well, thank you again so much for being here today. Let's just start off by you telling us a little bit about your Unplugged program, and really kind of help us understand how it came to be, what it is, what you're trying to accomplish, and how it can benefit us by being involved.
Well, we're trying to the program now has evolved to something which wasn't anticipated. We've actually rolled the program out through multiple areas throughout the state. We have a lot of people who are running the program now in their own cities and own areas, and so it's really become quite a thing.
Right.
We've it all started just kind of with a response to Sandy Hook back last February.
Sure.
And not this, but a year ago.
Right.
Really just tired of the discussion on gun control measures, which, at least in my mind, just didn't have a measurable effect on changing behavior. It just seemed we were talking about the wrong things, and not wanting a tragedy like that to come to Heber.
No kidding.
Yeah, I wanted to do something that would help bring the community together, that would help enable kids to feel more ownership in their surroundings.
Sure.
And more importantly, get them pulled away from violence in media, violence in video games, and instill in them a positive change.
Right.
And so, after some discussion with some friends and with some associates, the program was born. Started off as an invitation to not watch TV for a day, to what it is now, which is 101 activities that kids can do. And every time they do one, they get a little badge.
Okay.
And they can collect those badges all summer long. And so we have our businesses sponsor the badges.
Right.
So they become the distribution point.
Right.
So the kids can go in with their families, get to know a lot of these businesses on Main that a lot of us just drive by. And
Absolutely.
we don't get a chance to walk in. And
Right.
so it works out great for the local businesses, works out great for mom and dad, who most of us are all tired and working, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Absolutely.
it helps give them some direction over the summer, and the kids just have a riot. So
Yeah. And it, by most accounts, it was very successful last year, it sounds like.
yeah, we had a lot of success. As a matter of fact, as you're talking about the Memorial Day celebration with Pam, our first badge is given out at that celebration. It's called a Thank a Veteran badge.
Well, there you go.
And so kids can come and earn their badge by thanking a veteran going to the event. And so it's our first one of the season.
Sure.
That Monday the 26th. So we'd encourage everyone to go and thank a veteran, pick up a badge while you're there, and start off the season.
And it instills in children such a great message that that those men and women are the ones that have kept them safe, that allow them to listen to the music they listen to and play the games that they play and have the friends that they have. And
Yep.
I mean, it's no, that's so great, and it really does it. I mean, when you get involved in this thing, your kids will force you to go do stuff that you may not necessarily want to do, but they'll be like, no, we got to get this badge. And, it gets you out and gets
Yeah,
you
it
to do a
does.
lot of great things.
Yeah.
And it gets kids to associate with each other more. I see a lot of families that do them in groups and things like that, and they run around all the different places. And yeah, so I was not able to participate last year myself, as far as being a sponsor. This year I am going to be involved with my business and with Relay for Life, and we'll be doing a badge at the Relay in July.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
so people will have to come to the Relay, which is great. They'll recognize, you know, the need to support cancer research and things, and then they'll also be able to, the kids will be able to get a badge and
That's right.
and have some fun. So that's great. Yeah, it's so it has evolved, and other communities are contacting you and saying, "Okay, you know, Eric, sign us up. We want to be a part of this venture, and we see what it's done for your community, and we want to be a part of that." And
Yep.
so do the communities, is it all funded by the businesses that buy the tags, or
correct.
do the communities ever have to pay a fee or anything to be involved?
It's funded by the badge sales.
Okay.
And that's why we target the private, we wanted a reliable funding mechanism. We didn't want to go to grants. We didn't want to ask for any kind of federal handouts. We really wanted this to be a program that was self-funded.
Right.
And so by embracing the private market,
Sure.
and treating this as, here's an opportunity for you, Joe Business, to market yourself, get people through your doors. So kind of they treat it as an advertising opportunity.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
yeah,
That's what
it's-
it is.
It creates a great way to fund the program.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of businesses that typically don't get any kind of traffic through their doors, typically it helps a lot. And I guess the main challenge is getting the parents to come inside instead of sending the kids in, sending the kids in for a badge.
Yeah, we've had some businesses clarify the requirements. Parents must join the kids.
Come get a flyer and you
Bring
get a
in your mom.
badge. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But that's great, though. That's you know, I'm excited for what that's going to bring us this year, and I know, I mean, for me personally, there's a lot of things that I will automatically do with my kids anyway. But sometimes, you know, I know for a lot of parents it's hard. You know, I mean, I grew up fishing, so taking my kids fishing is a no-brainer. But a lot of other people, that was not a part of their life. That was not a part of their childhood themselves, and so it's like, you know, I'm sure there's a badge this year for going fishing.
Yep.
And that's just great. I mean, we have Free Fishing Day coming up here quickly, and you know, I mean, you take your kids out for a day and they fish, and it doesn't matter if they catch something or not. It's not called catching; it's called fishing. And you know, and they go enjoy it, and you get to spend time with your kids, and it's no, I think it's a valuable program and a great idea, by the way.
We have it's great to see, because we do have a lot of new people coming to the city, and we hear comments all the time. I couldn't believe how much there is to do here.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's just it's a tool to help people get out, get to know the valley. And really, I've learned, when trying to help change behavior, the most influential thing you can do is help someone feel ownership in whatever it is they're involved with. In a community, if you can feel a sense of ownership in your community,
Right.
there's absolutely nothing that community can't do.
Sure.
And as long as that exists, we can overcome any challenge. And so seeing that happen, and seeing families, especially those who are new, those who have young kids who maybe have only lived here for a couple of years, feeling that sense of ownership, they get involved with the different things happening politically. They get involved with service projects. They get involved with things like the Memorial Day breakfast.
Sure.
And that's really what we want to do. We need their feedback. We need to know, what they feel about the high school, what they feel about the railroad, what they feel about what this valley can be. And with more people chiming in, with more people providing input, because they feel a sense of ownership, we can overcome any challenge.
Yep. Well, that's great. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't yet been involved in the Unplugged program, it does not cost anything as a family. You go. Typically, I picked up the little lanyards the other day at the health fair. There are a lot of other venues, I think, that you can pick those up.
Well, we'll be handing them out to the
be,
kids.
Where should be?
So
through the school system.
Starting the end of this week through next week, we'll be handing out all the lanyards to each child in the Wasatch School District.
Okay.
For those who have homeschools or those who might be in preschool, or some of the chartered schools, you can go to the chamber building and you can pick up a lanyard there.
Okay.
And so we'd like to thank Intermountain Healthcare. They've actually paid for all the lanyards this year.
Great. That's great.
And so we just couldn't be more grateful that they did that. So we have plenty of lanyards.
Good. Good.
Last year we ran out.
You ran out.
We have plenty this year.
Good. Yeah, those kids they just love those things as they collect those badges. Well, that's great. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about the city. We have a new mayor. We have a few new city council people. What are some of the issues facing us? What are we worried about right now? What's going on in city council?
So we're right in the middle of wrapping up our budgets.
Okay.
Always late spring, first of summer is when we do that. Our fiscal year ends in June, or begins in June. We're just finalizing the numbers. Things are looking good. We have a major project underway with the new public safety building. That'll be really what all of our focus really has been is getting that constructed, getting a funding source for it, getting the plans approved. So that's been an ongoing project. But overall, things have been very optimistic. We've seen a lot of growth. Our sales tax revenues, which we keep our eyes on because that we get a lot of our funding, most of our funding from either sales tax revenues or property tax.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day. It's a large portion for sure.
Yeah. So the more we are successful with the sales tax, the less of a burden we have on the other taxes like property taxes, and fees, and things of that nature.
Right.
So things are looking good now. With the building of the public safety building, and because we want to make sure we have a means to pay for the loan. Granted, we got a very good loan for it. I think it's 1.5% interest.
That's not bad.
It's a fantastic loan.
Sure. We
We are looking at a small tax increase to help pay for that property tax.
Okay.
To make sure we're able to fulfill the obligations of that loan. So we're looking at those numbers. We're pretty close to what we think it might be. We'll be able to present those here very, very soon. We have a public meeting process public hearing process where people can come and hear the presentation, get to understand what the project is, what the proposed tax increase will be, and any questions they have will be a great opportunity. I'm not sure the date yet.
Okay.
I know it's coming up really soon.
Okay. So essentially, what from everything that I've heard and read, it sounds like the plan will be to, in sections, demolish the old Central School on Main Street and replace it with a new facility, which will house obviously the police department.
That's correct.
And what else will that new facility?
As well as the courts.
Oh, okay.
So
all
both
the court
the courts
system.
And we were very concerned. We wanted to make sure, again, to keep costs as low as we could, that our police force had a place to go, that we wouldn't have to pay for another facility or a temporary facility or do something where they, we don't want to make them homeless. So
right.
We managed to find a solution where we can demolish a portion of the building, maintain the location they are now, without compromising that.
Right.
As soon as the new building's done, they'll move over. We'll finish the demolition of that remaining section, and they're good to go. So both the police as well as the courts will be there.
So will the new facility take up that entire block like the current school does, or will they be able to kind of cordon off a certain portion and then be able to sell the rest, or what's the plan there?
Our plan now is to we've pushed the building as far to the back of the lot as we can.
Okay.
So if you were driving down Main and if you looked over, it would be recessed, quite a distance back from Main Street.
Okay.
So that whole front area will almost serve as more or less a public meeting space.
Sure.
So, for example,
Where
like
we
the
can go and
safety fair.
protest.
Well, right, you
Just
can
kidding.
protest. So, like things like the safety fair, it would be a venue where we can expand on that. Long term, if it does, we wanted to make sure we had space if we do need it.
Okay.
Based on growth projections, we may need in the next 10, 15 years to look at building a new city office.
Okay.
And so we've made sure that if we do go that direction, that we don't have to buy new land.
Right.
There's still going to be enough land on the front portion of that property where we could build a building.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So again, we've been very aware of cost and long-term objectives, making sure that we're keeping everything as inexpensive as possible.
Currently, what's the projection on the cost of the building?
We're looking at just over $7 million
Okay.
for the total cost of the building. So far we're on track. We're keeping things on budget.
Sure.
We've had to go back a few times to make sure we didn't go over. There's been some proposals on doing a few things that we've pushed off the table because we were concerned it cost too much.
Right.
But yeah, that's our budget.
That's the cheapest building built in the valley in a long time.
Yeah.
by any kind of public department here.
I really have to give credit to our chief. He has just gone above and beyond, doing his homework, his research, making sure that we got just what we needed, that we can keep within that budget. So he's done an amazing job.
That's great. That's great. We have a surprise guest.
Yes, you do. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's going
Good
on? Rachel?
morning. Hey, I wanted to wish Eric Rowland a very happy birthday.
Oh,
Since today is
That's
his
great.
birthday, so we brought in a little cupcake for the old man.
Oh my heavens!
And since I knew he was over here, I thought it would be really fun to
There
make
you
a
go.
public announcement of Eric's
Perfect.
birthday.
That's
Perfect.
fantastic.
So sorry
well,
for the interrupting.
hopefully people will harass you about it all day.
That's
No,
one
you're
thing
good.
about social media.
Yeah.
You have thousands of friends.
Yeah.
all those
yeah.
Facebook
Quote
fans.
unquote.
But I thought it would be
Right,
fun
exactly.
for Heber City to know
Yeah.
that today is your birthday.
Thanks. Thank
Oh,
you. And what a
that's-
beautiful day.
That's
isn't it?
sweet.
So happy birthday from all of us at
Thank
the
you.
Heber Valley Chamber of Commerce, and we thank you for all that you do to make sure Heber City is going in the right direction.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And get unplugged.
That's right.
That's my plug.
There you go. There you go.
Mike, thanks for letting me interrupt.
No, you're fine. Thanks
all
for
right.
coming by.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Alrighty, so well, that's great. I mean, hopefully, again, I think that as citizens, we are very, very concerned about, how money is being used. We're much more aware of how money is being used now than we used to be. It was kind of, we just sort of didn't really pay as much attention. Now I think we're very cognizant because it directly affects us, and so I think we really do appreciate any time. Every time our politicians take that into consideration and make it a priority, because we want to have the nice things, we want to have the good facilities, and we want to make sure that our public servants are housed appropriately and adequately and have the resources that they need to do the job that we're paying them to do. I think for me personally, I've always just, I feel like when you're using public funds, it's you have to always make sure that you're looking at, you're always pinching pennies, I think,
Yep.
because it directly comes out of somebody else's pocket. And so it's like, well, we can do this tile and it's really nice, but it's going to cost, $10 a square foot, or you can do this other tile that's almost as nice and it's going to cost $5 a square foot. Sometimes we get public organizations, we get government institutions that are choosing that $10 tile every time. And it's like, hold on, we don't really need that. We need something that's nice, that will last, but let's pick the one that doesn't cost twice as much. And so Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I really appreciate that, and I think the rest of the valley does as well. So, good luck as you guys continue to hash that out and figure out what's the best course and everything. And I know you guys have a lot to deal with on a regular basis. I did notice, maybe you can touch on this just real quick, but I noticed that the rate that is being charged on water is not keeping up with the cost of maintaining our drinking water system.
Yeah, we're a little behind the ball on that one. This has been a struggle we've had for many years. Just making sure we have a reliable long-term funding source for our water needs. The sewer side of things looks okay, but our water, considering our growth, considering our aging infrastructure, case in point, we have a tank called the Broadhead tank, which had a lid which needed replacing. Back when it was originally built, it was a $20,000-$30,000 project. Now, to replace the lid cost us nearly $500,000.
Holy cow.
So when you look at the cost of goods, the cost of construction, the cost of providing services as they were 20, 30, 40 years ago are substantially higher. And as we've tried to forecast needs to accommodate current demand as well as anticipated demand, and then add to that, because we've surpassed certain benchmarks when it comes to population, we now have or will be getting more stringent requirements for how we maintain our water system.
Right.
So we inherit a little bit of overhead.
Sure.
That we have to abide by those restrictions. So we have a plan which was proposed, and we had a comprehensive. It took us over a year to study this through Zion's bank, our water rates and exactly what's going on. But we're still concerned that we want to make sure that we do have the means to fund for this. So it's something we're looking at all the time. It's an ongoing challenge. We are fortunate, though. There are municipalities just a half-hour drive from here where they need to ship in every drop of water.
Wow.
And we're very fortunate. We have a very good water source.
Right.
We are right at the top of the food chain, if you will.
Sure.
And so we just need to make sure we can provide that service to our residents. So it's something we're very aware of.
Right. Well, that's it's tough when the growth sort of gets out of control a little bit, and you have to start playing catch up. But hopefully that won't be too big of a burden to get back to where we need to be with that. And water is such a precious commodity. And as we've seen in recent years, I mean, this year was almost a disaster. And it looks like now things are going to be okay, depending on how this spring goes, and if we can keep that snow up there, the top of those peaks for a little bit longer. But my goodness, they, in January and early February, it was looking bleak. I mean, there was not anywhere near as much snow.
February. I mean, just
there was not anywhere near as much snow up on those peaks that we're looking at now in February as there is now.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some good, they got hit pretty hard there in the very, very late winter. And so we got really lucky, I think.
We are. And I have people I know in Texas, and there's areas in this country where they're going to have probably the worst drought they've seen.
Devastating.
Just this summer. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And we
almost
lucky.
Dust Bowl-like conditions. Yep. There's wildfires raging in Texas right now, taking hundreds of homes. They, those brush fires and things that they get down there, and it's so hot already.
Yep. And
there's no water, and it's and then those things affect us. They directly affect us. I mean, we have, when stuff like that happens there, it starts hitting, feed prices for all our various agricultural animals here, and it's, I mean, I remember just a few years ago when Texas had their another just terrible season. They had no water, and fires burned half the state and whatever. They were shipping feed that we grew here to Texas for 4, 5, 6 times as much as what we are used to paying. They were shipping it. They were paying that, and then they were paying to ship it to Texas to feed their animals there. And so all of a sudden it was like you couldn't buy it. You couldn't buy hay. You couldn't buy alfalfa or anything else. I mean, it was, I heard at some point $600-700 a ton or something like that, when, most of my life it was $100 or less a ton. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, but I think we're very fortunate to live where we live.
We are.
I'm personally, I'm very thankful to serve on City Council. It's been an incredible 2 years. Looking forward to these next 2, and just tackling these challenges.
Yeah.
And again, programs like Unplugged, we want to get people feeling like they have ownership.
Right.
So we can hear from them, talk to us. The best advice we ever get is from the people.
Absolutely.
And it's sometimes it's frustrating when we only get that advice during the budget season.
Right.
If we could get it all year long, it'd be amazing. And
so everybody call Eric Rowland in July and tell him exactly what you think. Well, we just have a few minutes left, but I just wanted to give a shout out to all the mothers out there. We had Mother's Day yesterday. It was a great day to celebrate all of the mothers. But one group of people that I don't think gets anywhere near enough credit and near enough acknowledgement is all of the women who do not have children of their own, for whatever reason. I really hope that they understand that they are really mothers. I had school teachers, I had babysitters, I had neighbors, I had all kinds of different women in my life, aunts, whatever, that were mothers to me. And I'm so grateful, not only for my own mother, but for all of the other women out there who were a mother to me at one point or another. And please always recognize that you are a mother and that you have special innate qualities that do not exist in fathers, I believe. And that we need our mothers. We need it throughout society, in our families, in our homes, in our schools, everywhere in our life. We need our mothers to guide us, to teach us, to lead us, to teach us how to be good, upstanding citizens, and good contributing members of society. We learn that from our mothers better than from any other source. And we learn things from our fathers because our mothers tell us to listen to our fathers. I mean, they're so important, and we're all very, very lucky to have the wonderful women in our lives that we do. And I didn't get to say anything last week, so I just wanted to leave you with that. Thank you so much for being with us today, Eric. We really appreciate
Anytime.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, for listening to us and hearing what we have to say, and hopefully it's educational, hopefully it's interesting, if not, probably not very entertaining, but at least informative, and we'll leave you with that, and thank you again for being with us. And again, this is 1340 KTMP, Heber City, Utah, and my name is Mike Hewlett, and this has been Mornings with Mike.